Well, welcome along, everybody, to the very first episode of the Formula Fun podcast. This is a weekly, well, I say weekly, it's going to be a Formula One podcast that we probably meet up for a discussion after each race and maybe a little bit off-season and testing, etc. Me, Jamie, and my good friend Sam is joining me for some just good open discussions about Formula One in general, the race that's just been, the news and speculation surrounding it, and then a fun topic from each of us regarding Formula One, past, present, and future to round off the show. So, of course, my sidekick for this is Sam. How are you doing, my friend?
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Good on cloud nine, I would imagine, after the Mexico Grand Prix yesterday.
Of course. Cloud 9.5, mate.
9.5?
9.5. It's a shame.
Do you get half clouds?
I think so. Well, in half cloud land, you can never be overrun by too many clouds. So sometimes it's good to split them up into little sections of clouds. And 9.5 just felt right. I've got something to lean back on.
If you feel a little short on clouds, you're like, it's 9.5 clouds, my coffee. just slip out an extra half a cloud.
Just slip in an extra half cloud.
So, yeah, I guess we should start with, before we get into the race itself, we should start by congratulating Lewis Hamilton on his 4th world title, joining a very illustrious little crew of Schumacher, Fangio, Prost, Vettel, and himself, isn't it? It's 5 of them.
Just 5, yeah. You almost said Senna then.
Nearly did. Wouldn't be a great start to my knowledge, would it, on Formula One? I do know about the sport, I promise you. So yeah, to take his 4th world title and become the most successful Brit as well. So I think really over to you on this one. You're the Hamilton is your idol and your favourite driver. So happy, proud, emotional, or relieved?
To be honest, this one, I feel, just going on to the race, I know we'll touch on that later, but this one out of all of them, I felt that was given to him the easiest. So I don't think he felt it as maybe one of the most special wins. So yeah, I wasn't like, oh yeah, he definitely won. Whoa. Like last time I was just like, yes, get in, you little. But this time there wasn't so much. I didn't, there wasn't even a tear to wipe away. So no, it was good. Yeah, good for him. He did well. But as Fernando Alonso said, he had no competitor, to be honest.
I've got a quote here from him. Yeah. Where are we going?
Not to take away from any of his achievements, because four championships, from different manufacturers and in different years is no easy task.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Alonso's quote: "Lewis win very easy, no opponents." Essentially.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you on the sense that the reason it didn't feel special for any Hamilton fans, or didn't quite have the euphoria that it did, was the way that championship petered out. It was, we were billed of having this epic fight to the finish right up to Abu Dhabi of the two guys that we always wanted to see have a proper championship battle, because they've never really had one since they both came into the sport, Vettel and Hamilton, and we were robbed of it because of Ferrari, really, and it had become such an inevitability over the last couple of races that it just doesn't have that same impact when he finally wins it. But yeah, congratulations to him. He's, whatever I will say, and you'll probably find out in future podcasts and over the course of these, that I'm not a massive fan of Hamilton off track, but it's undeniable he's one of the best drivers there's ever been, the most raw talent, and probably the quickest over one lap there's ever been. So big congratulations to him, and let's hope it won't be that easy on him next year. So if we move on to the race itself, then I guess with that formality out the way, turn one and turn 2 is the obvious starting point. With the incident with Hamilton, Vettel and Verstappen.
We're just going to jump straight into the race. There are a couple of other things before the race.
No, by all means.
Well, we could talk about practice first, and maybe go into qualifying, then after qualifying.
We're going for a full race breakdown, are we? Okay, practice, some cars went round not as quickly as they could, but much quicker than they thought they could. Some of them a bit slower than they thought they should, and some of them not at all. On to qualifying.
Okay. On to qualifying.
Um, what exactly do you want to say about practice?
No. I was just trying to touch on all bases as you
Okay.
need to make sure you tick off everything off the old list.
Well, that's practice. Qualifying was a pretty epic shootout between Verstappen and Vettel.
Exactly what I wanted to touch on, because obviously that little battle was really, really good, especially Verstappen. And the problem is that, like, what I don't understand with the Red Bull and the whole Red Bull Renault, and maybe it's even the chassis, they struggle to turn on those tyres, but other cars and other manufacturers seem to be able to do it a little bit better. So that struggle almost to set up a lap, to warm them up, and then to put in the time lap. And sometimes the time lap wasn't always brilliant, sometimes it was. So I think in Q2 he set, I can't remember the time, but it was like a 1:16.5 maybe.
Yeah, it was. And he could only manage a 1:16.8.
Yeah, but then,
Q3, and then he
in
did
Q3,
improve.
and then he tried to improve a little bit, and then he was beaten. I think the winning one was a 1:16.4 something. So, yeah, it was, you might know the exact time, I don't know. But yeah, it was a very to and fro between them two, wasn't it?
It was a 16.4 from Vettel, 16.5 from Verstappen. If you put to get together all of Verstappen's quickest sector times from all of qualifying, he would have beaten Vettel.
Yeah, they were saying that he technically had the better lap, but he just couldn't piece it together from all of his, all of his qualifying sessions in his sectors. If you put them all together, you would have obviously added up to a lesser time, which would have been in essence better. So yeah, good showing from Red Bull, and it sets such a precedent for next year. It's such a good foundation to bounce up onto to next year. And I think now that they can see the goal, I think it will push the team, Newey and the people in the background, to really bring the best out of the car. And hopefully, I pray that Renault sort out their issues and it comes out firing and they're really on a level playing field with Ferrari and the old three triangle stars.
I think a lot depends on Renault. I think Red Bull have proved the last few races that they are really on a match with those two now. I think they're already there. I think that's the exciting thing, because this is not a track that should be friendly to the Red Bulls. Yes, you've got some sort of mid-speed corners through the middle of the lap that require a lot of the heavy aero work that they're so good at, but there's a lot of long straights, and I think that's just showing that Renault really have made that improvement already in performance, if the reliability is not quite there yet.
But there is a thing to take. Sorry to jump, but there is a thing to take away from the Renault performance. The Red Bull performance, that you could also see through other cars that have a very, very good chassis. Q2, Alonso's performance, jumping up to 5th or 6th. Very good chassis, very good aerodynamics, especially in an area where the aerodynamics is going to really be tested. So you need to have a very, very solid, aerodynamically efficient car for it to actually perform in somewhere where the air is so thin. So cars like the McLaren and Red Bull, who are very efficient with their aerodynamics, it really did show that it would shine in that kind of situation. So those cars, unfortunately, the McLarens didn't go forward because it would have hindered them, because they already had penalties anyway, so there's no need. But yeah, it did really show that those sorts of cars at least are on a different level to some of the others. But I think Vettel just pulled it out of the bag. Vettel just saw red and he just went for it, and he obviously just pieced together all of his sectors and finally just got it in there. Lewis was nowhere, was he?
No, the Mercedes definitely didn't have the quickest car. I think going back to that point, I think the low speed corners where they have mechanical grip at the end of the sector as well really helps the Red Bulls and the McLarens. That lap from Alonso was something. That was a real marker, along with his little battle with Hamilton in the race, but obviously we'll get to that. I think Vettel didn't have a perfect lap. He made a couple of mistakes watching his pole lap back. So it's really, really closing up between those three. And I think if Red Bull can be where they are in qualifying, we know how good their race car is. So I think they're already there. As long as they don't make some catastrophic mistake next year, there is going to be those three at least up there. But great qualifying session as always. Like the other battle I wanted to point out was Sainz and Hulkenberg, but I think one of them couldn't run or something. They weren't too close, were they? Because that was obviously sure. Hulkenberg couldn't run in US, so that wasn't a direct comparison.
Didn't Sainz have the edge on him?
No, they both got clean laps in. So Sainz was quicker, was a tenth down in Q1, half a tenth quicker in Q2, and then 3 tenths slower in Q3. So Hulkenberg wins that first proper battle between the two of them. And I think that's going to be the most fascinating team battle of next year, those two. They really
Where are they here? Science. Oh yeah, there you go. Qualifying time. Qualifying 3, 1:17.4 and a 1:17.7. Hulkenberg just had the edge then. 8th and 9th, Hulkenberg and Sainz. So yeah, good showing. But one other main person to have a look, just a quick chat before we move on to the race, was Danny Rick. What happened to Danny Rick? 7th. That's not a good showing, seeing as number 2 driver there. Number 2, sorry, was Max Verstappen, the other car. So there's obviously a lot of people are claiming some sort of miscarriage of justice.
I wonder
know you're not one to touch on that.
I've got a bullet point here: conspiracy.
Yeah.
With Ricardo, rage conspiracy. It literally says Ricardo retired, rage conspiracy.
How many retirements now though?
He's almost level with Verstappen, I think.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit short. I think the point here is that Ricardo then had to change his engine before the race, and he was having issues the whole way through. So I think there was something wrong somewhere. But Verstappen has just hit a new plane the last few races. Now that he's got over that confidence boost that would have been taken away from him from all these DNFs and retirement issues, he's driving better than ever. And Ricardo, I really hope that he can show something against Verstappen next year, because he needs to not fall into that Webber role again.
Well, this is what people are saying. People are saying that one side of the garage is showing a little bit more performance than the other side of the garage. Now, I'm very much on the fence this time, because I know we've seen it happen before in the past, but there's two sides to each argument. There's one side that back then they didn't have the resources to really push both cars, but now they do. So why would they spend millions on Dan Ricciardo's car and not go for an equal kind of standing with both of them? Why would they set up and spend millions of pounds on a car that's deemed to fail? It doesn't really make much sense.
Well, I don't see any truth in it between the two of them. At least not yet. It's something that Red Bull are capable of, but I don't think they're doing it at the moment. I think you just have to look at I've got another bullet point here. Renault engine issues. Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Hartley and Sainz out of the race with engine issues. So I think it's more a Renault side problem this time. Obviously, the Mexico circuit, very high altitude. The cars really don't breathe properly in it, which is why they can't get in a proper tow. And the Renault engines just did not like it at all. So
No.
I don't think there's anything this time, but it's something to keep an eye on. And I think it's something Ricciardo definitely needs to show his hand next year.
We don't want a multi-21. When we get a multi-21 coming this year, there's someone's pulling the strings there, Mr. Marker. I mean, no.
Well, that's the thing. It was most prominent between Webber and Vettel when the championship was close. When Vettel, the 2 years, 11 and 13, the 2 years that Vettel walked away from it, there wasn't much that happened. 12 and 10 were the sort of spark years, and that's when it was close. So it depends, because Red Bull, when they've had these two drivers, obviously haven't been fighting for a championship. Next year, if they're in that hunt and Verstappen does a little bit better than Ricciardo to begin with, that's when it might start creeping in. So got to keep an eye on it and keep them in check. Otherwise, we'll be writing a letter to Marco. Because you can't have that happen to my Danny Rick.
Nope.
No. Okay, so that's qualifying. Other notable results. I mean, Ocon did very well again. Perez not really on it all weekend. A little shout out to Brendan Hartley, did very well. Only a second qualifying session. And Ericsson out qualifying Verline again, showing good pace. So if we move on to the race then, I want to go into this debate, corner 1, 2 and 3. So for those, I presume you watched the race at this point, but let's just refresh people what happened. So Verstappen getting the better start than Vettel. Very late onto the brakes into turn 1, going around the inside, which put him on the inside for turn 2. Really just barging his way through on Vettel. Very brave, very good move. And then going into turn 2, of course, Vettel has a little bit of contact with Verstappen, loses a bit of front wing, and then appears to just go straight into Hamilton, loses the rest of his wing and punches Hamilton. So before I go into my views on that incident, how did you see it? First, the battle between Verstappen and Vettel, and then what happened with Vettel and Hamilton.
Okay, so obviously all running down at one point, and the camera angle that everyone was given, it looked like a three into one situation, and I was I was a
so
bit
happy.
like, oh god, what's going to happen?
I was like, at last, they've all got off the line next to each other.
All three of those boys have got off together, and it's good. But as soon as they went into turn 1, you saw that Max was going to have a go. Swinging round into turn 2, the commitment there for Max to keep it round the outside, or the inside even, round into turn 2 was just nuts. We've got a bit of background noise there, moving some furniture, are we?
Sorry, it's my mic.
It's all right, no worries. So yeah,
I'm new to this lark.
Bit of a strange issue with Vettel, but they're running so close to each other. Vettel obviously took a little tag on the side of the old Red Bull as Max wiggled his way through, and you can tell he lifted, and obviously that then pulled Hamilton into contention. And I simply think Hamilton took him off guard. I think he literally took him off guard, and as soon as he knew Hamilton was there, if you look back into the turn 2 to turn 3 transition, Vettel gets a snap of oversteer, and he has to turn into it, and unfortunately that sends him into Hamilton. So I don't think it was foul play. I don't think he saw, oh crap, I've taken a bit of my front wing off, doesn't matter if I hit Hamilton. I think it was an honest mistake, and it was just on the edge racing, and I think it was actually a fair decision by the stewards.
Yeah, I'm completely of the same view. Obviously, the thing that came out of it was that a lot of people jumped to the conclusion there's a rumour in Formula 1, conspiracy theory, surely not. But obviously the view was of some people that Vettel saw Hamilton getting away and went into his rear wheel. I'm with you. I think he was A, surprised, and B, he'd lost that little bit of front wing, which the car's a nightmare into a hairpin like that, into a chicane like that anyway, on heavy fuel, cold tyres, let alone losing a little bit of front wing. Just a little bit of snap of understeer, and he just went into Hamilton, really, didn't he? I don't think at all that was malicious. But and then from there, it was, did it spoil the race or did it make the race, seeing those two go back through? Because I guess the question is whether either of those two would have been able to challenge Verstappen the way he was going.
Well, like we said, finally they've all got off the line brilliantly, and then we were plunged into this need to get to the front as quick as possible. Unfortunately, Vettel wasn't able to do everything he possibly could to keep the championship going, and it would have been amazing if he managed to pull it off. And as soon as it happened, I said, right, well, that's it. This is the drive that Hamilton needs to prove that he's a champion. And Vettel also to prove that he could possibly also be the champion. And I don't know if we're jumping ahead of ourselves, but I think Vettel did a lot more to get through the pack as quick as he did than Hamilton, whether that's, something to do with the cars and everything, because obviously, everyone knows, or if you do and you're in the circles of F1, you know that the Mercedes car is not very good at following other cars in traffic, and some other cars aren't so bothered about it. The Red Bull, the Ferrari, they're not necessarily as bothered, but at least that Mercedes, and thank God that they're quick because they struggled, I think, and I at one point thought, well, he doesn't deserve it yet.
No, I mean, the whole thing was a little bit academic because of how much of an advantage Hamilton needs. The run of results needed for Vettel to have won it was essentially 3 wins and 3 DNFs. So it was always a bit of a damp squid in that regards. But I think we can talk through. We'll stick with Vettel and Hamilton for what happened throughout the race then, before we go to the rest of the field. So obviously Mexico, well known. You can't really follow there because of the high altitude. The dirty air doesn't work, as you've mentioned. Mercedes just hate that anyway. They was talking about something like a 1.4 second delta needed on the car in front to be able to overtake. But Vettel just seemed to want it more. But that Ferrari obviously working a bit better. The Mercedes perhaps second best to the Ferrari anyway, and third best to the Red Bulls this weekend. And he just didn't seem to want it. Hamilton obviously stuck behind Sainz, a lot tougher car than... Once Vettel had got past Massa, they were all very easy cars to pass. That seemed to be the flashpoint with Hamilton. He just got so fed up behind Sainz. And it wasn't until a single radio message that said, are other people overtaking? And they said, yes, Vettel's up to wherever he was, 9th or 10th. And at this point, Hamilton was still behind Sainz. Very next lap, he was past Sainz. Yeah. So it just seemed a little bit of lack of this thing with Hamilton, that when he does get out of position, a lot of the times he needs that little bit of encouragement before he actually gets a move on. He's like, oh, I'm stuck behind people, our car's not good at doing this, so I'm just going to sit here. As soon as he got the encouragement and was told what Vettel was doing, he was straight past. So I think that was the disparity between the two, just Hamilton's initial hesitancy to actually start moving through.
I think it had a little bit more to do with his tyres as well, because the tyres, he for whatever reason, they weren't switched on, whether they were old, because obviously they were the quali tyres. As soon as they changed the tyres under the virtual safety car, he made moves.
Well, no, they were brand new soft tyres, same as Vettel, because they both pitted.
Well,
they both pitted on lap 1.
Oh yeah, of course they did.
Because of the puncher, so they were brand new soft tyres, and the Mercedes works very well on softs generally. Yeah. So I think it was just this hesitancy that or just this belief that he couldn't get past Sainz, which was very unusual Hamilton, but we have seen it before. I think Australia this year was the most prominent one. Was it when he was stuck behind the Toro Rosso?
Who was this, sorry?
Hamilton. I think it was Australia this year. He was stuck behind the Toro Rosso. He just said, I can't do it. I just can't pass, guys. And he just like, well, just keep giving it a go, Lewis. Your car's supposed to be like 2 seconds lap quicker than him. But at the end of the day, it wasn't going to matter, was it? It was a great recovery drive for both of them, to be fair. And it's the kind of battle that would have been great to see if the championship was still close. Seeing them come back through. If those points really mattered, it would have been great to see them coming through. And it spiced up what was otherwise quite a boring race, to be fair.
Well, there were some good... There were some good bits and some bad bits, I guess. Wasn't that bad. I enjoyed the race.
I enjoyed it because of Hamilton and Vettel coming back through. In the midfield, there was a few little battles, but nothing like the level we've seen the last few races. I guess we have to talk about the boy wonder, Max Verstappen. Unbelievable performance.
Well, there were some funny things that came from that race towards the end, where they were getting a little bit worried about his pace. It was like, Max, you need to slow down a little bit. It was like, okay, fine, yeah, no problem. Came over the next lap. Yep, Max, that was the same lap delta.
It's like, yeah, I'm so sorry, guys.
And there was one point, I don't know if you were watching on the Peasant channel. Channel 4.
Was watching on Channel 4, yeah.
Yeah, well, they once, I think it was DC maybe said it, but apparently Max came over the radio and said, "Was that the fastest lap?" And there was a slight pause, and the engineer just goes, "Yes."
Just fed up.
That was it.
I mean, the difference between him and Bottas, asking someone in that kind of groove with that kind of advantage to back off a second a lap. I mean, a couple of seconds, sure. A couple of tenths, sure, but a full second. It's going to seem like pedestrian when he's been going at that pace, isn't it? And it's difficult to tell. Bottas could have had a great race, or that could have been him struggling. Or it could have been the difference between Ferrari and Mercedes. There's a big old gap between those two, and there's a good chance Vettel and Hamilton would have been in that gap. So he had it a lot easier than expected, obviously. But it was still a very Schumacher-esque performance. The way barged through on turn 1. The little message, was it simple? Like, as soon as he got through, he came over the radio and said, yeah, simple or something, which apparently is some kind of meme that's been going around the internet.
Simply lovely.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
Simply lovely.
I need not go into that. Just Google Simply Lovely with a H at the end, and you'll get the answer you need.
There you go. I'm sure it would have been on the screen now anyway.
Oh, well, I don't think it will be.
Why? How R-rated is this meme?
Google it, mate. That's what I'm gonna say. That's normally the worst answer to any question. Just Google it, mate. Are you Googling it now?
I've got an owl.
Yeah, that's the one. Is it on YouTube? If it's not on YouTube, then you're in for a winner.
I'm just seeing a bunch of T-shirts in image search.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a YouTube video. I'll pass that up. Anyone that wants to watch that.
They're not YouTube videos. They're posted throughout other forms of social media that aren't so. Yeah, let's put it this way: it's an adult collection of videos with someone voicing over, going, "Oh, simply lovely." Very famous in the meme world. It's British comedy, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm not.
You're right. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Okay.
Simply lovely. So obviously he's seen that, and that was his little
nod towards it.
Yeah, a bit weird. When I heard it, I was like, okay.
That's obviously something between him and his engineer that we maybe shouldn't go into.
I don't think we should really touch on this much more than we have.
That's a very special relationship between those two, I think.
No, it's more the content of the videos he was referencing.
Well, that's what I mean. What, are they sitting in his ready room like?
I don't know.
That?
I don't know.
Ready room. It's not fucking Star Trek, is it? You know
this is
I mean?
a family friendly podcast brought to you by Cream in a Can.
Yes, and that's our first news from our fake sponsor of the day. If you are feeling like you have a thirst to quench, you should go down to your local shopping market and pick up Cream in a Can. It will quench your thirst or be a lovely drizzle over cake. It really is a multi-purpose product.
Also comes in a likely and very useful vessel of can.
Yes, cans are very portable and not clunky and irritating at all, and completely and utterly unresealable. But other than that, great
Perfect
product.
receptacle. Yeah.
Great product.
Very creamy.
Thank you for the 30 milliliter tester sample that we've been paid in for that advert.
Yeah. Hashtag ads.
Just want to point out that's completely fake, okay? Just in case something happens from that. Right, so that's Verstappen. Yep, great performance. And one little fact I wanted to mention about Verstappen. Every single race he's won is directly before Kvyat has been booted. All 3 times. So obviously he was booted for him in Spain. His last win... When was his last win?
I can't remember.
It's this year, but I can't remember who. That was when Kvyat got booted out the first time from Toro Rosso. Then obviously he came back.
It was the one after
Russia.
It was one after Russia. He got booted.
No, that was the first season.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm talking about like a few races ago.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously last race Kvyat came back and then got booted again, and Verstappen won again. So he may never win again unless we see Kvyat back in the sport.
Well, more on that news later.
Yes, in the news section.
No, that's actually in our other section, which is also sponsored by Cream in a Can. We will get to later, probably after the news.
Okay. Moving on to the race then. We go down into... Raikkonen and Bottas, I suppose, are pretty self-explanatory. They're both just not good enough, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, you can tell we're not fans here. Breaking news coming out from Entertainment and Arts. Kevin Spacey faces backlash from the LGBT community after coming out gay. More from that later.
That's not this kind of show. Shut up. Just stop talking. That's like... Don't open that can of worms. Christ.
More on this later.
Breaking news. Korea launched missile at dog that looked at leader wrong way. I just don't. I think they're thoroughly penned in as number 2s now, aren't they? Bottas and Raikkonen.
Yes.
And I think that both their performances there showed that. So we go on to the midfield. Who we got 5th and 6th were Ocon and Stroll, beating their more experienced teammates. Ocon just continues to impress. I think he just gets out in that best of the rest slot at the beginning of the race, and he stays there. He never has any issues. He never seems to have tyre problems.
He's proving his worth, definitely. And if I was Checo, I'd be very worried. Checo can only fall back on his experience for so long. You know, he's a great driver, but he's being surpassed by this brilliant Frenchman. So, yes, I have great admiration for Esteban, and he did an amazing job pulling it through to 5th, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a really exciting talent, still very young. Mercedes young driver, of course, and at the moment, possibly looking like a better option than Bottas.
You never know. You never know.
He's certainly going to have Pascal Wehrlein in a pair of brown pants. That's for sure.
Exactly. At this point, I think I'm going to jump in and... Rage's Insider Secrets and News, sponsored by Cream in a Can. If you need to be creamed...
No, whoa. They haven't paid for 2 sponsor slots.
Well...
That's just Rage's Insider... Insert sponsor here.
Oh.
If you want this sponsor slot, message. Literally send us any free shit. We'll put your company name there, no matter how rude or
fresh off the press. And actually, during this podcast, I actually got some more insider news from my squirrels, which I will read out afterwards. Seeing as we touched on something that I thought I'll jump in and say this. So, insider news, and this is only to the people who know, and I will not reveal... Whoa, Jesus, calm down. I will not reveal who I got this from. So, insider news, Ocon to Mercedes in 2018, as he's part of the Mercedes Young Driver Program, with Kvyat coming in and replacing Esteban Ocon. So, 2018 news coming at you right now in 2017.
I mean, it's purely speculation. Thanks for that, Rage. You've really got to stop doing that. I was in the shower last time. Fuck, I nearly broke my neck.
Just jumped in the window. It's like, I got some news.
Fucking intruder. Where's my fucking gun? Oh, it's you again, you prick.
So yeah, that was my insider news. So yeah, he is. I've heard from people on the grapevine that he is going to be replacing Bottas, and that Kvyat's going to be jumping in last minute to fill his spot. But you know, this is the world of F1, and as a great man once said, anything can happen. It normally does.
Are you talking about for next year?
I'm talking for next year. Yeah.
But Bottas got a contract. He's already.
I'm talking about 2019.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
They won't have Kvyat won't be jumping in a year's time then.
Yes. This is insider knowledge.
Ocon to Mercedes I can see happening in the future.
Well, one sec. I'll find where I got my source from. 1 second.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you as an authority on Formula 1.
This is
it won't be next year.
You can hear the press right now. You can hear it on the press.
Let me just explain something to you, okay? You were saying that Kvyat will just jump in as though it's a spare of the moment thing, but this is a year and a half time.
He will.
So he won't
jump
be just
in.
popping in because there's no other option. They'll have a year and a half to find a replacement.
The torpedo doesn't need any introductions. He will jump in.
I mean, you just gave him an introduction, therefore the thing you just said is then null and void. I mean, come on. At least keep me on my toes here. It's too easy. Yeah, I mean, Ocon is a very likely replacement. I feel I've got a little section that I want to talk about some of this stuff later. Okay. So we will get back to the race.
Yeah,
but thank you for that breaking news.
I did get my insider news wrong after 2018. So 2018.
I know, I just told you that. You didn't need to correct yourself because I'm the authority on these things.
Well, there we go. That's my insider news. Straight from the horse's mouth. Obviously, you know, I've got different sources.
That's really not a nice thing to call Toto.
And also, the bit of news that arrived on my desk during the middle of the podcast. This is insider news. Apparently,
was it your test results?
No, that'll come later. Eccleston has claimed that Ferrari got help from several parties over the years.
Yes, we have a news section later, and I have all these things written down, including that. So can we just get through the race? We have a very clear structure.
The structure at this point is out of the window, okay? The insider news. Anyway,
can we finish the race?
We'll move away from rages. That's it, that's the end of that
I mean, that's got to be reserved for deaths or contracts, like, signs, okay?
What, my insider secrets?
The breaking news bit. We can have a section with that each week, but don't just burst in.
News. It wasn't. It was insider secrets. We were talking about the Ocon.
You said hot off the press.
Oh, what, a second one? Yeah, all right, fine. We'll wait until that's news.
Okay,
all right,
okay. Look, this is a work in progress.
I'm on the naughty step, okay?
I'll give you that one. It's fine.
Right. Shall we carry on? Where were we? 5th or 6th, something like that?
Yeah, so Ocon and Stroll beating their well-respected teammates with some good results there. Perez struggling a bit. Suck my balls in 8th.
Yeah, Mr. Mean Man Magnussen. Mean Man Magnussen, 8th.
We got Alonso in 10th. Want to have a particular shout out to him and Hamilton's battle.
Well, it was epic, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. We need that next year so much.
Oh,
I think that McLaren turns up in Australia and it's not quick enough. He should just get a free seat. Like, Formula 1 should just pay for another Mercedes or Ferrari to put him in. Because we're just being robbed at this point. It's just a great battle. The best wheel-to-wheel battle of the entire Grand Prix. And Alonso's doing it in a car that, quite frankly, still shouldn't be able to fight the Mercedes even through the corners. So
I think that car has greatly improved over the past couple of races. They've definitely made some kind of step forward, because they were really quick points in qualifying, at least. Race trim maybe not so much, but in qualifying they were quick.
I think the one lap pace has been there all year. The problem with them is the deeper they go into the race, the more their harvesting problems affect them, the more fuel they have to carry and use. But yeah, they've definitely had a big improvement. It's still just a good shout out to a great wheel-to-wheel battle with two titans of the sport that really should be at the same end of the grid and aren't, unfortunately. Past that, I mean, massive Van Dorn, not particularly impressive. Gasly, again, not particularly impressive. Grosjean moaning like a little boy again.
Oh,
To be fair, he did get cut up by Vettel. Do you see that?
No.
Vettel trying to get past Grosjean and literally almost just cut across into his side pod, and Grosjean just lost a bunch of body weight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I did see that.
It was a little bit ham-fisted by Vettel.
Yeah.
And then the other story of the race really was those retirements, engine issues for Renault. Huge problems. Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Hartley and Sainz. That's a pretty sad-looking list, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. Like you said, I think it was just to do with the, just to the where they were, and like you say, the air and everything. It just didn't react well with that engine. But yeah, it's not exactly what you want from the end of the season. If that was a championship contending car, Renault would be getting some slap the wrist.
Yes. Yeah, it's I've got a feeling that they would have stopped producing the engine as well, or developing it, and the car. It will be on next year now, so. But then they did have that update, didn't they? Which I think this is the first race that they've all had it. So there's clearly a problem there. But hopefully they'll fix that for next year. Just another thing on that Alonso-Hamilton battle I've got here. Very interesting. Very nice to hear radio message. After that battle, Alonso asked his engineer whether he thought Hamilton had cut the corner. Or gained advantage by going off the track. And the engineer just came back and said, it was good racing, but fair racing, Alonso. I just thought that was very rare for an engineer to say that, especially when a position's up for grabs. So that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And Alonso just accepted it and said, okay.
Yeah,
it wasn't as if he was...
it, definitely, didn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't as if he was complaining. He was literally saying, just what did you guys think of that? Do you think he went off the track? And they gave him a very honest answer, which was
because of penalties, he came from 18th on the grid up to 10th, and that just shows you, where's Stoff 19th to 12th.
Yeah, so they both had good races.
By a Williams, they had a good race, yeah, but what was their final race time? I didn't say because they're lapped, so but still, I don't know what the difference between those two cars when they actually came across the line. I'm guessing a little gap, maybe 10, 20 seconds or so. That still, just shows Alonso's got such good pace still.
He's driving as good as ever. I really do believe that. I think also 10th did flatter them. Because you've got in Sainz, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, and potentially Hartley, you've got 4 cars that probably would have beaten them on pace.
Yeah.
So, but still, they're going forward and they're finishing the end of each race without any major problems. That's the biggest thing for McLaren, I think. Not that it matters, because the Honda's gone. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see that Honda in the back of a Toro Rosso next year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the remaining people then, what's that? Stoff, Gasly, Verlaine, Grosjean. So that's 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. There's so many cars retired out. The rest of the field, where was Romain Grosjean? What an idiot. Not a massive fan of Grosjean this year. I did like him, but he's kind of slowly slipping into insignificance with me, unfortunately. But it wasn't a massively good race from him, I guess, because obviously he had the little issue with Vettel that really affected him. Did he have to come in and pit? I'm not sure he did. I don't know.
I think he might have made another pit stop late on. I know the damage that he got from Vettel really didn't help him.
No.
And he was one of the cars that tried to do the one stop as well.
Yeah.
That really didn't work out for them. You know, pitted very early, put the softs on, and just didn't get the distance by the end. But that Haas car, unfortunately, is just... Magnussen did a stellar job with it, but I still think it's really moving backwards. Or the guys around them are developing quicker.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
You won't get that kind of... it's a new team. It's an American team. They've got learning to do yet.
I worry about their involvement with Ferrari. It needs to be cut loose.
Footloose!
Because they're always... I mean, by all means. It was appropriate. I just think they're going to struggle to move forward and develop on their own ideas and merits if they're still taking so many parts from Ferrari. But, midfield, as I said, not as many great battles as we've seen in the last few races, but this... Unfortunately, that was the other point I really want to talk about. Mexico as a track. I mean, it's just... We've seen it both years now. It just really doesn't seem... It's third year with it here, actually, isn't it?
Third year, yeah.
It just doesn't produce good racing.
No.
Because of that turbulence.
Mm.
And it just
with the formula that we have at the moment, with such heavy dependency on downforce, it kind of makes that problem that they have at the moment of following twice as bad. Because of the altitude. But yeah, I guess I don't know when we're next getting a reg change. 2021, isn't it? So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is pinned on Perez as well. Formula One seems to be moving towards, we've got a driver that's incredibly popular in a country, let's have a Grand Prix there.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about bringing Holland back, aren't they? Netherlands.
Yeah.
Purely because of Verstappen. And if there's the crowd there, that makes sense, but I wonder how feasible Mexico is after Perez goes, or if he doesn't improve. If he gets beaten by Ocon, how long will Force India keep him?
Look what happened when Karthikeyan left. India just went into what turmoil.
Italy as well. They'd got a strange fondness for the Indian driver in Italy. Tifosi had taken him to heart.
Chandok left, that's it, they fucked off.
That was more problems with the circuit end, wasn't it, I think?
Might have to use your bleeper there, I don't know how PC we're meant to be.
No, I'm going to put parental guidance on the iTunes thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't give a shit, mate. Do you? As long as they're not stupidly offensive. This is an adult podcast for adults and cheeky 15-year-olds. I think they're being risque. Yes.
Well, that's the any more touches on the race, or shall we move on?
So I'm just going through my list. I've got a note again. We were robbed of that battle up front, Verstappen, Hamilton, Vettel. I hope we get to see that in one of the following races. Track limits was an interesting one. There was a penalty for Grosjean for exceeding track limits. We didn't actually get to see it on screen, but again we actually saw Vettel passing Massa off track, so they added all those sausage curbs
They
to
did.
try and discourage it, but they're still a bit inconsistent on the decision making, which is a shame. And the other thing I want to talk about was a really strange one. At the end of the race, obviously Hamilton won the championships. They pulled him up to the podium, but they got him out and had all his celebrations and had the chat with him before they'd even done the podium.
Yeah, I thought that. A little thing came in the back of my mind and said that you're chatting to this guy before you've chatted to the race winner? It was only a little chat though, wasn't it? It wasn't,
Well, we watched it on Channel 4, which is cut down highlights.
Yeah.
The other guys looked like they'd been standing around for a while, and they hadn't even done the podium, as in given the trophies.
No.
It was like, right, okay, guess you guys better go up now.
Yeah.
It's just a little weird how they were doing it. I guess they're trying to put this more media-heavy thing. Because I don't remember at all in recent years a F1 champion getting out after winning the championship and immediately being interviewed in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
That's a big change for this year. That they've been doing it, qualifying in the race as well. So it's a nice touch by Liberty Media. I think that was a bit too intrusive though, especially with Verstappen winning. He was robbed a little bit of his moment. I didn't even see him get out of the car. On the coverage we were watching.
Never did I, no.
So yeah, I think that's going to be the race then.
Yeah. I found an absolutely amazing picture of Fernando with a hat on.
Fernando with a hat on.
I'm going to save that picture. I'm going to send it to you, so it will appear up on your screen now. It's absolutely great.
It's a smashing hat.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can send it to you once. Just so you.
His hat game is on point.
It's absolutely great, and he looks really happy in it. And it's great. What's that? Oh god, that video is playing again. Here we go. I'll just sent it to you so you can see the awesomeness of that hat.
Oh, that is a cracking hat.
That's a good hat.
One thing about the Mexicans, they do hats well.
They do love a good hat. But yeah, that hat will end our Mexican Grand Prix little chat, and on to the next topic.
Yeah, so if you did enjoy the race and have your own views on anything we've talked about, do let us know down in the comments below, and we can I'm sure we'll reply to them if we read it. So before we move on to the news, it's time for Rage's Crash of the Day, sponsored by Cream and a Can.
Oh no, that's the news music. I mean the important insider information.
I'd done it for you this time, so you couldn't fuck it up, and you still fucked it up.
So this is Rage's Crash of the Week, sponsored by Cream in a Can. So if you need to be creamed quickly, then grab a can. Sponsored by Cream in a Can. So that's our sponsor.
Don't use the adjective creamed again.
That's part of the joke, but anyway.
I know, it's too visceral though.
So there's a couple of little crashes that we can touch on. I love it how you let me do this bit.
It was your idea.
Yeah, you need
the
to
segment was
touch on it.
Literally named Rage's Crash of the Week. Why would I do it?
So Crash of the Week, sponsored by Cream in a Can. If you want to get creamed, then pick
Stop
up a can.
it! Just no, we don't need this bit at all.
Yes, you do. It's the best bit.
Nobody wants the word creamed.
There was some noticeable incidents in practice. One you brought to my attention that I saw briefly, but because he didn't really hit the barrier, I didn't deem it a crash. It's a spectacular spin. I think it was in practice 3, maybe 2. Not sure. I think it was 3. It was 3. It was 3. It was 2. It was coming out of the last corner just as he crosses over the line, and he properly spun it and popped a tyre. So yeah, great little.
Grosjean, yeah, the best bit about that was Grosjean just full on pelting it back to the pits and just spraying bodywork everywhere.
He didn't give an absolute what's it. So
no,
yeah,
they had to red flag it, and it was about like 20 marshals just descending on the track.
Gunter Steiner must be like, for heaven's sake, why?
Yeah, I mean, just you damaged the car enough, Grosjean. Just now you're just tearing it apart for the sake of it. Okay.
There was also notable spins from Hamilton in Q2, which really affected his his practice pace. That put him a little bit behind, and there was also a couple of little dodgy moments for Vettel in exactly the same place. I think it was going through the chicane, the high-speed chicanes. The quick change of directions caught them out a little bit with a green track. But the main one, and this is the crash sponsored by Cream in a Can. It was Alfonso Celis. So he was obviously one of the young drivers getting a little timeout in the Force India. Put it straight into the barrier, going far too fast, a little bit of oversteer, and bang, reversed it straight into the back of the barrier. He was then asked by his race engineer if he could get it back to the pits. Bearing in mind he was opposite the pit entrance, he said, no, the car's far too damaged. He'd lost the rear wing, but apart from that, it didn't look that damaged. But that is Crash of the Week, sponsored by Cream in a Can.
Yeah, little Ricky moment from him, really, wasn't it? But it was genuinely the only time anyone hit the barrier all weekend, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So pretty clean.
There was a couple of, obviously we've touched on the turn 1, 2, 3 incidents at the beginning of the race, but I don't deem that to be crash worthy.
Wasn't really a crash, no.
No, racing incident.
Absolutely. Okay.
We need to get jingle music for that, mate.
I'm planning on putting something in there.
Need to get some jingle music for that. Different one for Cream of the Can Races Week. We could even have a separate Cream of the Can jingle that comes in. Da 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 da. And then straight in.
I'm pretty sure that music is copyrighted, but I know what you mean. Actually, it might be classical. Actually, no, it's not, is it? Classical actually it escapes copyright because it's too old.
Far too old. Anyway, on to the next topic.
Yeah, on to the news of the week then. This is the section, of course, where we go through news, speculation and rumours. And because obviously this is the first podcast we've ever done, I'm drawing a few things from the last couple of weeks that we can have a chat about. So because you've already brought it up, we'll go into it.
You're not going to have a little intro for the news? Welcome to the news here, motherfucking bastard.
There you go. What an intro. So, Bernie Ecclestone, as you brought up, accused the FIA and Merck of helping Ferrari. Nice quote from Toto. Bernie has a hand grenade exploded in the Mexico paddock even when he's in London. It's just a great little quote.
I've just read that. Bernie is the only person who could throw a hand grenade from the other side of the world. It lands in the paddock and explodes. I love his stories. End quote. Brilliant.
I mean, as Toto said, if they were doing that and they lost, they would never forgive themselves. Do you think there could be any truth to this? There has been talk that Mercedes have helped with Ferrari's engine, which I think is the most credible.
This is the news, really.
Scenario.
This is why Toto hit back, because he said that his names were, quote, nonsense, that Bernie Ecclestone had hinted that FIA and Mercedes had helped Ferrari to be more competitive, so obviously in the engine department. But there was, and if you remember, mid-season or very beginning of the season, there was another little rumour that did come out of the woodwork that suggested that Mercedes had offered help to Ferrari in developing their engine problems. And I think also Renault. And that it was dismissed. No, it wasn't any of those. It was Honda. They offered to help Honda. And Honda said, no, we honour and all of that. Rice and sushi.
And quit before it becomes more racist. No, I know what you mean. It was Honda that was offered. I believe I did read something at one time that Mercedes possibly did something with Ferrari to help with the engine. But
yeah,
I mean, it's never going to be something that is going to give them any lasting advantage. Or
would an engine and car developer like Ferrari ever want help from anyone else? It's just against the whole ethos.
Exactly. I think it's such a strange thing for Ecclestone to say, and it's so Ecclestone at the same time. It's completely out of nowhere. It's at a time that Mercedes just won the championship. I think he might be going a little bit senile in his old age, to be fair.
We'll see.
It's one of those stories, isn't it? The Formula One paddock just absolutely adores these conspiracy theories, and no more than Bernie.
That is just a complete and utter nonsense thing. Yeah. The Ferrari thing. I can't see there being any truth. There might have been a conversation, but no help was actually offered. I don't think no help was ever taken up.
No, it's possible that the strategy groups might have worked together to offer something, but I don't think there's any truth to it, and I don't think Mercedes would ever want that. And as you say, I don't think Ferrari would want it. They want to do it on merit, and they're the Italians are as proud as the Japanese in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, very strange bit of news, but very Eccleston. So, if we now go on to, I guess, a little bit of news. Renault are pulling out of Formula E to concentrate on Formula 1.
Really?
Yeah, so they will not be in it next season.
They were doing well, though, weren't they? Was it
They're
the
the reigning
E-Dams?
champs.
E-Dams, isn't it?
Yeah.
What they're called? Yeah.
Yeah.
3-time reigning champs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, constructors and I think 2 times drivers champs. So
Absolutely ridiculous.
what they're pulling out.
Yeah.
It is weird. You wouldn't think that it would take that much technical or financial resources to do.
Yeah.
So
Bit weird, that. I hadn't heard that. That even got past me. No idea.
yeah, that very recent. I think that's today. I read that somewhere. Credit to random news site. That name I can't remember. So barely worth giving credit for. So it's just one of those things. It shows a bit of commitment, I guess, from Renault. There could be ulterior motives there. So on to little bit of older news then. So when Max was obviously been confirmed till 2020 in the Red Bull, Ricciardo said, when questioned as to how that made him see the team and his future at it, he said it just eliminates the competition for him going to Merck or Fezzer. So I think he's right. I think Verstappen is nailing his flag to that particular ship long before he's seen the condition the ship is in. If that's an analogy that at all works. But it does, doesn't it? If he's there till 2020, it really opens up the offers to Ricciardo. So you're of the opinion that Ricciardo will go to Ferrari?
Yeah,
in
definitely.
2018.
He will go to Ferrari. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think we'll have... In 2018...
Sorry,
2019.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ricciardo will go to Ferrari. And like I said earlier, Ocon to Mercedes. I don't know who will jump up. Maybe Gasly or whoever performs out of this next pairing will jump up and take the place. But Max is like you say, he's dialed in now, isn't he? He's got a contract lasting half a millennia. So yeah, definitely Danny will leave and he'll go over to the Reds, I reckon. Yeah, pretty sharpish as well next year. Not next year, the year after. I'm already on 18 now. I don't really think about 17 anymore.
It's over. It's done.
It's literally done. It's done and dusted.
So up that in the history books and move on.
Have you got any other news about any other seats? Maybe a blue and white seat coming up?
I've got that. I was going to do that last.
Okay, we'll come to that later.
Linking to what you just said. So Hartley and Gasly all but confirmed in paper for next year. Very interesting. I think Hartley is a one-of-a-kind driver now for Toro Rosso in that he's not a youth... He is a youth driver, but he's not come up the system. He's been kicked out of the system and brought back in later life. So if they do confirm him, I think, is a big sort of intention from Toro Rosso, statement of intention that they're going to... Things are going to be changing in that team a little bit with Honda Power. Because they become a manufacturer team in their own right, as in they're running their own manufacture. They're then completely different from Red Bull technically for probably the first time in their history. And having an older driver like that is really gonna buck the trend of them bringing up these young drivers. It could just be a 1-year stopgap that they don't feel there's a driver ready, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Hartley does given a full season against Gasly.
I think he'll do well. I think he's jumped in the car already and he's shown that he's a force to be reckoned with. Coming out of 5 or 6 years in sports cars and then still being bang on the pace in F1 now is nothing short of a miracle. He's done amazingly well. I would definitely be watching his progress through the next 2 races because he's going to be one to keep an eye on. Unfortunately, he had a bit of an issue and so did the other, but still it'll be good to see what happens in the next couple of races with that guy. Definitely. Eyes are on Hartley.
And there's definitely no certainties that Honda aren't going to get the act together next year. So it could be a very interesting year for Toro Rosso, and we'll see if those two are confirmed. So before we move on to the biggest discussion then, which is probably going to be the Williams seat, that last little bit of Alonso doing Daytona.
Oh yeah, a little bit of old news.
Well, as I said, it's our first podcast, so it's covering the last couple of weeks of news.
Mm.
Interesting, and I think the intention is clear, isn't it? It's preparation for Le Mans.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Obviously, no.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was
Have you got any views on it at all?
Well, it'd be good to see him in another car. I don't know who he's racing with. I don't know what the team is he's racing with.
There's obviously young Lando Norris, which would be pretty interesting.
Lando and Nando together, dream team.
Nando.
Yeah.
Nando at Nando's. And some other guy that no one really care about with those two in the team. No, it'd be interesting. It's smart from Alonso. It's going in an LMP2 car. The one thing he said with Indy is he wished he'd had better preparation. How that would have warded off his engine blowing up, I don't know. But still, interesting anyway.
No, it's like you say, it's a step towards Le Mans, isn't it? He's just trying to do anything he can. Pretty much, McLaren know that they might be onto something a little bit better next year, so they've said, well, you can't do Indy, but we'll let you do a couple of other things. So he's just getting his foot in, isn't he?
I think he could still do Le Mans, because Daytona is January, so it's not in the season. And
all depends when Le
Mans doesn't clash.
Well, you never know.
I think he might do it but he might do. I don't see why he would do it LMP2. But obviously, the reason he's doing United Motorsports is they're owned by Zach Brown. So,
a little bit of breaking news here: row over German high-speed train called Anne Frank.
I mean, I've told you this. You want to do a current affairs podcast? We can do it. It's got nothing to do with F1. It can piss off as far as I'm concerned.
Where do these people live?
It's quite strange, isn't it?
Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that.
Well, there you go. Breaking news. On to the next bit of news then.
Are people outraged, or is this something people
I don't
are
know.
applauding, or?
It was just a bit, to be fair, mate. But that's definitely real news. It was just because it was funny. Anyway, on to the blue and white seat.
So let's meet our competitors, shall we? As far as I'm aware, there's 6 main ones.
Yes.
So obviously Massa could hold his seat.
Yes. He wants an answer within the week, apparently.
Does he?
Yeah. He's pushing for an answer within the week.
Wouldn't surprise me. We're getting. So Robert Kubica is the other one. Of course, done a few tests with them. Has already shown with Renault that he can potentially do that. De Resta obviously had that one race in. He's the reserve driver. He's got the experience. Danny Kvyat, obviously, has just suddenly become available. And, there's something to be said about Kvyat, considering the way Massa went from Ferrari, down and out, skull bashed, if you like, whatever that phrase is. And then redeemed himself at Williams. It's definitely not the phrase, but I'm sticking with it. Bit of skull bashing.
That's definitely not the right phrase.
Browbeaten was the one I was looking for.
I think that's probably the right one.
I mean, your brow is next to your skull, and beaten is kind of like bashing.
Completely different. We're not going to touch on that.
I know. Yes, I definitely. It has 2 meanings, okay, not just the one you were thinking. Pascal Wehrlein is another potential, and I think Ericsson is in that frame as well. So
Palmer's completely out of the frame now, do you reckon?
Oh, I forgot about Palmer. Possible.
Yeah, he's outside chance. Definitely not. He won't get in there. Not in a month for Sanders.
So, of course, we've got the one factor which leaves 2 of them in a tricky situation. Wehrlein and Kvyat are under 25.
But this is what
they would have to negotiate a new contract with Martini. They'd have to okay it. So that
the
adds
problem
a little
is
bit
here though, because Williams have come out today and they've confirmed that Danny the Torpedo Kvyat is in the running for a 2018 seat.
Yeah, but as I said, they would have to negotiate with Martini. That's the problem.
But it's actually law. The whole alcohol sponsor thing, because there are other famous people who touching on this completely random, Post Malone, okay? He loves Bud Light, and he drinks Bud Light openly, and he'll drink it whenever he's in an interview, whatever. But he's not allowed to be sponsored by Bud Light until he reaches the age of 24, 25, whatever.
Yep. It's purely because the
I think it's
sponsors
law,
can't... I don't think
Matter
it's...
of law.
Lovely age-free reference. I don't think it's... It's potentially... I know what you mean. So you're essentially saying that it's... At under 25 can't advertise even if they can drink in that country.
I have no idea what the law is. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, that's what you're saying is potential. I thought it was more that some countries have a 25 drinking age, therefore Martini can't do events and sponsorship in that country. If it's law, then there's no chance. But as far as I'm aware, they can negotiate with Martini to allow one of the two to drive. But it would add complication. And considering the amount of money Martini bring, it makes it difficult. So I guess then there's two ways to look at it. Which of those 6 or 7 drivers would be the best strategically for Williams in terms of marketing, budget, and sponsorship they bring with them, and which is just the best driver for the car?
The problem is, we'll go through them individually. So, Paul di Resta, he brings the sponsor as well, and it's probably not the sponsor that they want paired up with a sponsor that is already on the car, because he's sponsored by Kingfisher, isn't he?
Have a whiskey drink, have a martini drink. Doesn't really
Pretty
work.
much. No, yeah. So I think his sponsor is null and void. So I'll be very surprised. I want him to. He's the most person. He's my favourite person in line for that seat. He won't get it. Second one, Danny Kvyat. I think he's up there with the high chances. Danny Kvyat, because he's just got experience in abundance. Massa again, he'll be up there because it's Massa. He'll have the same chance as Danny Kvyat, and I think as a just below them, because it's an if but of a maybe that he might be up there, is Robert Kubica. All the others I think are much lower. Pascal Wehrlein, maybe. I don't think so. Palmer's got no chance at all.
No, I would agree with most of those points. I think honestly, I don't see any of those drivers that would jump in and do a better job than Massa until at least halfway through the year. I think that's the thing Williams have got to look at. Is this result based, or is this publicity based? Is this sponsor based? I think the guy that's going to get the biggest reaction, the biggest sponsors, and just the best for the team all round would be Kubica.
He would.
Everything that would surround it. And he's got the potential to be the quickest of those drivers.
And Williams, they love a good fucking sponsorship deal. They love a bit of news. So
yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They need it. He would be my favourite at the moment. Both who I think is going to get it and who I think is would be the best option. But it's just such a huge question mark. That's the problem. I think if you go for the rest of them, I think they're better off sticking with Massa, to be fair. I think Kvyat, honestly, he's so browbeaten. He had such a deficit this year and last to Sainz. It's almost laughable. Di Resta, I honestly don't think it would take him too long to get up to speed, and I don't know that he would be a good enough driver even when he does. He's had his chance, unfortunately. I can't see it. I can't see them putting him in. Wehrlein is a very big shout because of Mercedes. So I think it's between Massa, Kubica and Wehrlein. And I honestly think either of those 3 would be a good choice for them.
Yeah, why not?
So if I had a gun to your head,
yeah,
who would it be?
Danny Kvyat.
Okay, I'm gonna say Kubica. I think they'll take the punt on him.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We will find out. Yeah,
not long to go. I think we'll find out before the season's end. I think we'll find out probably after Brazil, I reckon.
I think for Massa, we knew what happened last year, didn't we?
It went on for ages, didn't it? Then he got,
Well, no, he had that big farewell thing, and then he was back in the car in like 3 months' time.
No idea what happened.
But I think it would be for certain this time, so it would be nice to give him another send-off again.
Yeah, another send-off, yeah.
Okay. Right, I think that's all the news that we've had for the moment.
That's the end of the bloody news, motherfucker.
Now piss off and go watch the weather. Okay, yeah, I mean, this was the section that I was going to do for Insider News, but you've already done Insider News.
Yeah, can't do that, mate.
So I guess we're moving on to the final part of the podcast, which is our own topics. This is a section of the show where me and Sam will bring a new topic to each other each week about anything to do with Formula 1, past, present or future. We'll debate it for a little bit, give our answers if there is a definitive answer for that question, and then we'll do the others topic, and then we'll wrap up the show. So, do you want me to go first for the first week?
Go on. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I need to send you something quickly then.
Alright.
Which I shall put in Facebook. There we go. So, my topic is previous tracks that we've had. I've gone back to 1990. So these are tracks that we've raced at in the past and are not on the circuit, on the calendar at the moment. Is there one? I'm going to say two. I was going to do three, but looking through the list, I would say two. Two tracks that you bring back, and which tracks would you replace them with? This kind of has an undertone of we've been losing a lot of European races recently. We're getting more obscure tracks being added. Mexico was a strange one, actually, for a lot of people to be added back. Obviously, we've had Azerbaijan recently, which has actually become quite a staple. But do we want to go back to more European races, which really is the core of F1? And are some of these tracks just, for racing reasons or crowd reasons, is there any of them that you would bring back? So we've got the list there, which, of course, you guys will be seeing on screen.
Let me have a look quickly. One sec. There we go. All right. Jesus Christ. Okay. Brilliant. So am I saying which ones I like out of these and which one I don't?
Yeah, I think we should start
from the top and keep going down.
Try and agree on two between us, and we can argue our case if we disagree with each other's choices, and then we'll try and agree on two tracks to swap them for.
I see you haven't added in a track that I would have added, but never mind.
Okay. No. What is it?
No,
so I only went back to 1990, so...
We'll get to that at the end.
Alright, that's very sinister.
So the first one then, India 2013.
Yep. Not... Didn't run for very long at all. It was 2 years, wasn't it? All this money pumped into it. A very strange track. Didn't really flow properly. The drivers really didn't like it. These massive runoff areas as well. Would you like to see it back? I don't think I would. No. I don't
think any of the drivers would. I don't think any.
No, it was a nice try, but I think it's been tainted a little bit by VJ as well, who was so instrumental in it. Obviously, what's gone on with him the last few years, I don't think we can go back there. Valencia, great street track. Always a great, passionate Spanish crowd, and we always had some cracking races there. I really like this track.
It's one of my favourite tracks, this. So, yeah, one of those tracks that's really close to my heart. I loved Valencia. Have you seen the pictures of Valencia now? I'm sure they'll be up on the screen. It's a ghost town.
Really?
50,000 people used to live here.
Now, Ray Winston is the only one.
Yeah, it
coming soon to you. Ray Winston in Valencia, ghost town.
You know those really crappy YouTube videos that come up on like Facebook and said these, oh, look how cool these abandoned places look like. And one of them came up and it was Valencia F1 track. Very odd to see that the old paddock, because the old paddock was such a beautiful building.
Yeah.
It was all completely abandoned. Crazy. But yeah, definitely one that I would like to see back. But yeah, I'm sure the pictures will be up that you can see the abandoned track.
Well, I think...
Yeah, sad.
Very sad.
The drivers hated it though, didn't they?
I don't recall anything of that sort, but it's possible. For me, it ticks both the boxes for bringing it back. The two boxes I think tracks have to tick is to have a big passionate crowd, and that are going to bring the numbers and create the atmosphere, and two, a track that creates great racing to watch. I think it ticked both those boxes. It was a great street track that we had great overtaking and crashes, some great races. And Spain have never had more interest in Formula 1 with Alonso and Sainz. So I think it's a strong candidate. Would you potentially bring it back for
No.
Catalonia or alongside?
No, I just wouldn't bring it back at all because it's one of those weird tracks that it was the European, wasn't it? Because they already had the Spanish. So, no, it's a dead track, let it die. Good track, but I wouldn't bring it back. I like it.
Well, okay.
Dead track, let it die.
Just let it
That's on my
fucking
list.
die, mate.
Let it do.
Okay.
Let it die, mate.
That's possible for me, but I'll be willing to bend on it if we agree.
And our
on
survey
others.
said. Okay, moving on.
Korea,
Yes.
last seen in 2012.
Is it turn 10?
Very
Is it
strange,
turn 10?
this.
No, sorry, carry on. Next one. I mean, yes, Korea. Rice cakes.
What the hell was that all about? I
Don't-
presume you meant turn 10 at Turkey.
Never.
Okay, Korea, great track. Really, really good track. Worst location possible.
Yeah, I think we don't really need to touch on Korea that much, to be honest, because I think everyone agrees the crowd wasn't there. Worst place possibly thinkable to have an F1 race about 1,000,000 miles from anywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't even like the course. I didn't think there was much of a flow to it. I didn't like
really
it.
like that track.
Did you? I
Of
didn't
all the
like it when
tracks
I used to
brought
play
on
it.
in the last 10 years, that's the one I've liked the most.
Oof.
I really I had something with that track.
I just
I
threw
really
up in
enjoyed.
my mouth a little bit.
Okay, well, you can clean it out later.
Ooh.
I'm sure your girlfriend will
So
help
for
you.
me, my survey says, I'm afraid.
Okay, no, I would agree with Korea. I think it's a great track. I just think the location doesn't work. Probably the strongest on this list for me, Turkey. 2011.
Gotta love it, Turkey. And like I said a minute ago, turn 10. All about turn 10.
Turn 10, fantastic corner, fantastic overtaking opportunities. Great crowd. There's a lot of talk of this potentially coming back. But so Turkey a tick?
Turkey is definitely a tick. Ticked the turkeys.
Okay, tick a turkey.
Tick a
Turkey on a Tuesday.
Well, a bit racist.
Oh, don't for fuck's sake. Clip. So, Maggie Cause in France.
Lots of people
really
saying
like
that this is coming back as well.
Well, obviously renewed interest. What have we got? Four Frenchmen now.
There's
Grosjean, Ocon.
some rumbles in the jungle about this one.
Yeah. So a lot of French interest. And I think it's unlikely. Well, it depends how Paul Ricard goes, doesn't it? Because that, of course, is back on the calendar for next year. So we are going back to France. I prefer Mangy Cause as a track. That rundown after turn 2 and 3 down to that long hairpin was just iconic for me growing up. The way they used to just bunch up there and the chaos that used to ensue. But I think it's definitely a possible. Whether we need 2 races in France, I don't know. Fuji. I guess the question with this one is, do you think it's a better track than Suzuka? I would say no.
Nah, there's only one place for the Japanese Grand Prix, isn't there? Really?
Yeah, I mean, Fuji held it for quite a while in between Suzuka, 2 stints, and held it before Suzuka, of course. But apart from sort of the rundown to turn 1 and 2, which is quite iconic at Fuji, I prefer the just the heritage and the corner layout of Suzuka. Indy, a lot of talk that we need a second American race. I guess we can cover 2 at the same time here, which would be Phoenix. You could probably chuck Long Beach into that equation and Indy.
I think Long Beach has got more chance than Indy.
Yeah, it's a great circuit, a great environment.
Obviously, harking back to the issues of 02, 4, 6. When was it?
7.
7. There we go.
That's when the last one was.
Yeah.
I think.
Awful.
It might have been 6 actually, because it was the last season Jordan competed.
It was all to do with the stupid Michelin's, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it essentially wouldn't be allowed to race on safety grounds.
Mitchgate.
And Ferrari wouldn't agree to put in a chicane to slow them down. So,
No.
typical politics. A great shame. I think it needs to be a dedicated track. I don't think putting a sort of half-assed sort of club circuit round a oval is the way to do a second US Grand Prix. It would be a no from me with Indy.
It's a no from me.
Okay. the classic, and again, a lot of rumours of this coming back, Imola.
Yes, but I think the rumours were quashed, weren't they, when they've just signed a new contract with whatchamacallit, Monza.
Monza. There's
Yeah,
possibility it can come back alongside.
yeah. I guess. I think there's probably more chance of it coming to an America than it would do another Italian.
Yeah, for me, Imola is a must on the calendar. I think it's such an iconic circuit, and I think the safety of the cars has improved now that we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic track. The flow of that track is second to none. It's just such history. But so that's a yes from me and a no from you, I'm guessing.
Just a no from me.
And now we get into the 90s, which some of these tracks I really don't have a clue at. I mean, Buenos Aires, never seen it. Jerez, I've done some testing in some games around there. Looks like a pretty average track.
They don't have the infrastructure, do they, to support a modern F1 race, do they?
No.
You know, I think the only one out of some of those really would probably be Portugal, Estoril. I'm jumping ahead, but there's so much call for Kyalami to come back.
I've never seen. I swear I've seen some South Africa race. Is it in Cape Town?
No idea. It's South Africa though, isn't it?
Yeah, I've only ever remember seeing one South African track / race, so I presume it's there. It looks half decent. I think it'd be interesting to have a race back in Africa.
I don't even know if it's open. I assume it is.
I mean, they'd probably just build it again if not, wouldn't they? But Adelaide is another potential. That track, I love Melbourne, but I do think Adelaide was a better track.
Yeah, Kyalami is still there.
Okay, so it's potential.
It looks quite modern as well. It's got modern runoff areas. Yeah, so it's more of a iconic 70s and 80s track, Kyalami, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think those kind of tracks, similar to Adelaide as well, in that sort of street circuit style thing, I think they're tracks we need more of. I'm just not a fan of the tracks that we've added the last few years, America, Mexico. I just don't think they're the kind of tracks we need. We need more Bakus.
I think the Kyalami, there has been a lot of spend recently because it does look very modernised. So whether they're gearing up to try and do a push on it, I'm not sure.
Okay, so can we agree with two then from that list? I think we're both...
From the 90s list, yeah.
No, all of it.
All of it, okay.
List.
Yeah.
So I would say Turkey's a definite.
Turkey, definite, yeah.
Mine would be... My second would be either Valencia or Imola, I think, would be my two. I don't know which one. What are you edging towards as a second track?
Definitely Turkey. I'd love to see Kyalami back. And Paul Ricard, there's been different...
It is back next year.
There you go. Well, why is it on the list?
Because I didn't realise. Well, I didn't think.
There you go.
I was just adding tracks.
That's my two then. Kyalami and Turkey. Gobble.
I think we agree on one, so that's good.
Yeah.
So there be the two tracks. So the second part of that then, of course, let us know which tracks you guys would like to see back from any point in F1 history. Is two tracks we don't need on the current calendar. I'm going to shoot straight in. We've just had it. I honestly don't think we need Mexico.
I agree.
The atmosphere was fantastic. I get that. You lose one driver and that disappears, and I don't like the track. It doesn't produce good racing.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So we agree on the first.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just have a little look through.
I'm going to say it, and it's going to ruffle feathers. My number two is Monaco.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get off. You're not allowed on this podcast. Please explain yourself immediately.
I just don't really think it's suitable for modern F1 anymore.
Because of the racing it produces?
Yeah. That's the only reason.
Okay.
I know the heritage and F1 is Monaco and all of that, but I just don't really like it to watch, at least.
I can understand that.
I like to race it, but just not to watch.
I understand that, but for me, it's just a massive no. I just don't. You can't lose it. You can't lose Monaco. We lose everything the sport is if we lose Monaco. Obviously Malaysia is going, because that does put a slot on. So I guess if we take our three choices, my other hat in the ring would be Russia. I just don't. The whole thing's just been a bit of a circus for me. The way that they're paying such a huge amount to host it, the way that Putin's effectively used it as a political sort of aid to show himself to the world. Oh, look at me, aren't I great? As he always does. I don't think that should ever be involved in sport. And I don't think it produces that great a racing. We have had a couple of good races, but I just don't think the track suits modern F1. I just think we need more old school tracks. And that's why I think places like Turkey and Imola with the modern cars, I think they'd show much better races. But these are discussion pieces, aren't they? So we can agree to disagree on those.
I think we're going to have to.
Okay. Well, that's been my topic then. So if you guys want to leave your comments as to which tracks you would strike off the calendar, which ones you would add in their place, or do you think we have too many races as it is and you would literally just strike races off, then do let us know down in the comments. I would look forward to reading those. And we move on to topic number 2. Rage, what are we talking about this week?
Right, so my topic is the fascinating and the amazing medical car blunders.
Wow, okay.
Yes.
So this
is when the medical car comes out, not to be confused with the safety car. Safety car, normally an AMG, whatever it is, Mercedes. Safety car is normally some big estate Mercedes. I think it's the same engine as what's in the safety car, the medical car at least. I think it's exactly the same.
Depends which era you're looking at, but yeah.
Well, mainly modern era at least. So yes, this is where things go wrong with the medical car. Now I am going to send Jamie a list of YouTube links, which I think would probably be best if he links those in the description. I don't know if that's what he wants to do, but I'll give him the choice if he wants to do that.
Yeah,
so
I'll put screenshots up of each event, and then you can go and watch the videos yourselves, of course.
I don't know. You can put the links in if you want. There's no problem with putting links in the bottom description of that.
That's what I just literally said I would do.
Okay, well there you go.
Pay attention, lad.
Jamie will put the links in, and he'll put a picture up for now, just if you don't want to go to the links. I've sent Jamie over those. So first of all, we start off with...
So we got an even orange than usual. Orange arrows, that is.
We do, yeah. So this...
Anyway.
Okay, yeah. This is the 2002 incident with old quick Nick Heidfeld and Enrique Balnodi in the Footwork Arrows F1. I don't know what Nick was in. No idea. But pretty much Sauber. The Arrows... Was he in a Sauber? The Arrows had... It was, because it was a Petronas sponsored one, wasn't it? So that Arrows had a bit of an incident going through the Senna S's. So again, if you want to get this up and watch at the same time, you can. It's the first link.
It's just like the classic door movement, isn't it?
And it's just absolutely brilliant. So the safety car pulls up, and one of the guys decides to open the door on one side. Another guy decides to open up the door on the other side, and for whatever reason, now Nick said he didn't see the safety car markers or didn't see any flags or anything, comes barreling down the inside and takes the door off the safety car, narrowly missing Enrique and almost killing the occupants of the safety car. I mean, the medical car.
I mean, it's unbelievably dangerous, but it's those kind of classic motorsport clips that you just keep watching again and again, isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant. So Shuey misses, and Hive has a massive oversteer moment and just barrels straight into the side of the car. It's great. So yeah, that's first one on the list. Nick Heidfeld's bit of an accident with a medical car door. I don't think Enrico Bernodi, I think his name is, Bernodi, he wasn't very impressed, because obviously it was his life on the old line.
The medical guy weren't very impressed. It's like you open the door and then a Formula 1 car's going through it.
I think Nick probably got a bit of a seeing too.
He was lucky as well, because
Oh, yeah.
Formula 1 cars, especially of that era, were not designed to do that.
No.
Like a piece of metal with a gap underneath it.
Yeah.
That could have
hit
been
him in the head.
serious damage. So lucky escape, and I think it's all of these, I'm sure, will prove how useful the virtual safety car's been.
Yes, definitely.
So
this, yes.
moving on.
Yep, moving on. Next one. So moving on. 1 second. Okay. So the second one is going back in time a little bit. This is 2000, and this is Monaco.
Okay,
And
yep.
I think this is in between sessions. So
Before
pretty
the
much.
practice, yeah.
So pretty much, yeah, the medical car was for whatever reason, and I think even Professor Sid Watkins was in the car at the time. It was driven. I've got the name of the driver here. Alex Ribeiro. Apparently, he's an F3 driver. I think it was actually the first corner as well. Completely misjudged it and just goes straight into the barrier, rights off the front of the car. A lot of people had a bit of a laugh about this, obviously. If you look at the video, half of the front of the car is just completely written off, and I think there's some very damaged pride in that medical car.
Yeah, there's just like the wheel hub is like on the tyre as well, just kicking out smoke like nothing.
Yeah, just trying to come back round, and I think that's through swimming pool and Rascasse, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely smoking its front tyre. Brilliant little bit of medical car antics right there. So
that's what I don't understand. Like, how can you do that in a medical car? Like, you
this
don't need to drive this quickly, surely.
This is what makes this section just so stupid, because it's the medical car. It's not the safety car. You don't need to drive massively fast, especially like when you're not really doing much. It was in between sessions, and he managed to bin the car. But yeah, that's number 2 on the list. There are 2 more. So the next
one is the one I instantly went to when you mentioned this, and it's such a classic clip.
Famous and classic clip by one of the most famous comedy drivers. He's a definite paid driver. And if you don't know who Taki Inu is, you have been living under an F1 rock. Yeah, whatever his name is.
Sorry.
He was a bit of a random one. And if you want a laugh, check out his Twitter. It's great. It really is great. I don't know if you've got him.
I will have to do that. I didn't.
He is literally a modern meme master. I'm pretty sure he was at least at one point quite.
There's apparently a movie on him.
No, I think.
Or is that just a memed thing?
I think that it might even be a meme as well.
Anyway, the event in question.
So pretty much 95 Hungarian Grand Prix. I don't know what even happens. I think he pulls off.
He's got an engine blowout, yeah.
Has an engine problem. His car's on fire, and again, it's an Arrows. Okay, so he gets out of the Arrows. There's a couple of marshals helping him out, and for whatever reason, they're not doing a great job with putting this Arrows out. So poor old. By the way, is it a footwork? It's an Arrows, isn't it?
It's before they were footwork Arrows. This was just a footwork team.
I thought it was an Arrows. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so he goes over to grab a fire extinguisher and is instantly hit the side of the leg by the medical car that pulls up for whatever reason, because he's blatantly not injured. So he tells the marshals not to put it out, runs, gets his own fire extinguisher, and then is instantly hit by the medical car. He looks at the medical car with a real look of distaste, and then crumples to the floor. And at this point, the commentators are just going, "Oh dear God!" And it's just a great bit of Formula 1 history. There are some pretty cool high-res pictures of him being hit as well that are really quite funny.
Yeah.
There were some really cool pictures.
I don't know how much damage was done to him, because watching it
Broken
again,
leg.
it's the really.
He broke his leg, yeah.
Just the way he went down, he tried to keep it on his feet and then just like fainted almost.
This driver was the Maldonado of the 90s. He was great. So if you don't know anything about Taki Inu, or however you want to pronounce his name, if you don't know much about him,
Yeah.
There you go. Google him. Have a little look at some of the videos on YouTube. He's
Absolutely. It's just
absolutely great.
It's just the sweet irony of that moment, of the fact he's absolutely fine. Medical car turns up, and it's the medical car that injures him. I mean, we could be having a very different discussion here, you know, in the way that it could have seriously damaged him. So thankfully he was okay, so we can be a bit humorous about it. But incredibly dangerous.
Oh yeah, he could have
I mean,
run him over.
what is it? Is it a rover? It looks like
I
a
don't
rover.
know what it is. It's an awful,
Some kind of weird Japanese rover. Like, that should not be on on call for any kind of emergency.
No, definitely not. So yes, that's probably the most funny F1 medical car incident. Now, I couldn't find any other medical car incidents that were crashes or that were stupid medical car incidents or spins or anything at all. The only thing that I liked the look of was the really smart little race between the safety car and the medical car at the Bahrain 2016 Grand Prix.
Yeah, this looks pretty interesting. There is one, I can't remember if it's Formula 1. That's the problem I've got with the clip I'm thinking of, and I can't...
What is it?
So it's a Land Rover that, for no reason at all, just comes out onto the track.
I think it's IndyCar, and he slams into the back of one of the cars.
Yeah.
It might have been a lower Formula. No, I did see that, but it's not F1.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was. That was funny as well.
Yeah, so someone brakes in front of him, he locks up and goes straight into the back of someone else, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Goes straight into the back of the... Yeah. There are many other safety car fails outside of F1 if you want to watch them, because some are great.
There's safety car fails in Formula 1 as well, but this was...
Oh, medical cars.
This was the medical car, yeah. So that's what made it really interesting
Yeah.
that's what makes them so funny, is just they shouldn't be out there.
No, they're there to help people,
or having
especially
accidents.
when they hinder people. It's great. But this one's just a little bit light-hearted. So the last link, if you want to click it at the bottom, or if you just want to look at some pictures, I'm sure Jamie will sort it out. But it's the safety car versus the medical car at the Bahrain 2016 Formula 1 Grand Prix. And it looks like it's actually a artificially wetted track as well. And they're having an awesome little drag race down into turn 1 and a couple of other little races through the next couple of corners. And it's a really cool little light-hearted. And the organisers even do a little start for them with the lights, which is just great.
I question the validity of this race. I think that the safety car should thrash that little estate thing, but then...
They got the same engine.
You don't know. Have they really?
They got the same engine. Yeah, no, it's the same engine. Okay. Yeah, it's a V12.
Maybe.
Supercharged. Yeah, they got the same engine. The safety car is faster. I don't think the medical car wins, does it? In what video I've got, he's close with him though. He's with him for quite a while, but it's great. It's really funny. It's good. It shows you how, when we actually go to a Formula 1 race and you see how quick the medical car and the safety car actually are, they're actually blindingly quick.
Well, that's the thing about these moaning, isn't it? They're sitting in cars that can do unbelievable speeds. They are the top of motorsport, and of course it's going to seem slow when the safety car's going around, but. Bert Myland has been doing it for so long now. He is a master at driving that car. He could probably win against any F1 driver in that car, the same car. Yeah. So, yeah, I find it very immature when drivers get on about, what do they expect him to do? You can't. Sometimes they do artificially slow him down, but in most cases, that's just as quick as they can go. But that's a nice little topic. That's a nice little fun topic with the medical car. I mean, it's always funny just to see that Taki Inui clip again. It's just great. So classic. And maybe we'll have to do a Taki Inui topic at some point, because I know a little bit about him, but it seems like a lot more of a backstory there with him. So it'd be interesting to dig into that at some point.
Yeah, if you want to, I can get some crazy Taki Inui things.
Sure. If it's demanded for, and we think about it again, maybe. So I think we're going to be wrapping up our first podcast there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed it. I guess a small little section on looking forward to Brazil, now that I think about it, before next time. Do you think I think it's going to be a track, I really do, that we'll see all three manufacturers vying for it again. All three cars, Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari.
Oh, they'll all be going for it, yeah. Every single one of them.
And I think they're going to be incredibly close, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I hope we get a fair fight. I would love to see I think Bottas and Raikkonen just aren't on the same pace as those three. I think Ricciardo is, though.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see if he can
if he can pull the car together, then yeah, definitely it's going to be a good. It's one of my favourite races, and it's a track that will favour all of the different cars in different places. So I think it'll be a really good race. Definitely, I think the qualifying is going to be so tight.
Yeah,
We
a
may
little
even
smidging
find
of rain would be nice as well.
Oh, it's almost a given at that track, isn't it? You have a little bit of crazy weather at some point. So fingers crossed, yeah, for a good. Last year was amazing, wasn't it? With that save with Max Verstappen, epic. So yeah,
Yep.
we'll see. Hopefully it brings up some good racing, and there's a good old farewell for Massa because he won't be back next year.
Well, it's still a matter of opinion, isn't it, with him?
Yeah,
so I guess we're going to see. But yeah, just some good racing between now and the end of the season would be nice. And just to finish the season with a bang as the championship battle petered out. What have we got in terms of... Obviously, top 3 positions are pretty much secure in the Constructors. That battle, top 4 even, that battle between Williams have opened up a bit of a gap. But Williams, Toro Rosso, Renault and Haas are all still in that running for that 5th. And
it's all Renault and Toro Rosso and Haas, isn't it? That's the main. I think Williams has probably done what they need now, but it's that little mid-team battle is going to be so tight these next couple of races. That's going to be
put
one
it
to
past
watch.
Renault scoring 18, 20 points per race, and they're only 18 points behind Williams.
We'll see.
So it could
We'll
still
see.
be done, especially
if
with
one of those
Sainz in that
drivers
team.
goes out, then it's just at one of the teams, it's just disastrous for that for points wise. So whoever can get the furthest up that roster will definitely benefit, won't they? Bigger prize fund at the end, isn't it? Force India have done an absolutely stellar job again. They're driving outside of their means to get 4th.
Yeah, they've secured
definitely
it
keep
so
that.
solidly this year.
Yeah, secured, definitely.
Just worry about whether there's anything they can do to go forward from there.
Well, we'll have to see.
We will. Right, I hope everybody's enjoyed this first podcast. Have you enjoyed doing a podcast for the first time, Rage?
It's been fun.
Or
It's always
Sam
good to have a
even?
good
I've been
chat.
switching between those two names all of it, really.
It's been fun. It's always good to chat about F1. So yeah, been fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. And I say, for the moment, they'll be after each race. We may do some in the off-season or in special weeks if there's something to talk about. But generally, they'll be after every race. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Presume most of you will be listening/watching it on YouTube. I think this will be going out on SoundCloud as well. So anybody listening there, thank you very much. And iTunes will probably take an extra 3 or 4 weeks because of their stupid fucking approval system. But if you are listening on iTunes, or if you're listening to this post the facts, you can go onto iTunes and just give it a little rate. That will help us out.
Race department?
Sorry?
You can pop it on race department?
Yeah, if I can find a adequate section for it.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a lot of sim racing. But yeah, I will probably put it up there as well. I always am very appreciative of all the guys over there that watch the videos. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Any of the things we've talked about today, if you want to have a chat with us about them, then leave it in the comments on YouTube. That's the best place, and we'll get back to you, and we'll try and start a little conversation around the podcasts and a place to talk about F1 in general. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. This has been the first ever Formula Fun podcast with me and Sam, and we shall see you soon. Peace out.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, old chap.